Welcome, good evening. Welcome to this evening's talk, the latest in our programming connected to our fall interdisciplinary residency program. I'm Abigail Lewis, the Executive Director of Bethany Arts Community. For those of you who are not familiar with Bethany Arts, we are a nonprofit serving the Lower Hudson Valley and beyond. Our goal is to provide a welcoming and supportive environment in which arts and our community members can learn, create, and flourish. At our facility located in Ossining, New York, we have studios for local artists, gallery spaces, a theater, dance studio, and classrooms, as well as lodging and studio space for our residency program. Our fall residency attracts artists at different stages of their careers from around the world for the development of both new works and works in progress. Artists at this year included visual artists, poets, playwrights, choreographers, composers, dancers, filmmakers, and more. Due to COVID, this year we made the difficult decision to reduce the number of artists on site and moved the public component of the program, talks like this one tonight, online. We are incredibly fortunate that our facility allowed us to provide these artists with the space to work and live safely among their peers. At the same time we did this, we established our first ever virtual residency to support additional artists. Before I introduce tonight's artist, the charming Cherie Lee, who participated in our virtual program, I wanted to take just a moment to thank those whose generous support make our work possible. That's the New York State Council on the Arts, the National Endowment for the Arts, Arts Westchester, and numerous individual donors. So for tonight, we have Cherie Lee. She's a self-taught Philadelphia-born artist who utilizes high-speed rotary equipment, in fact, a drill, to reduce genuine ostrich eggs to small-scale subtractive sculpture. Whether her subject matter is ecological, sociological, or anthropological, she unites substance and subject, gingerly evoking one concept: what you have is fragile, no matter its strength. Now, having said that, I've gotten to know Cherie a bit over these past few months, and I'm absolutely convinced that she knows better than most that how to turn that fragility into something that is not only beautiful, but is an opportunity to see the world and one's art in a new light. So let me stop here, and Cherie, I'm going to invite you to take the floor, if you would.
Abby, thank you so much for that. That was really nice. And obviously, thank you to Bethany Arts Community. You guys are amazing. I'd like to welcome all of our guests too. Yes, I am an eggshell sculptor, and what that looks like today is this. Forgive me, I'm having fun with all my new toys and my new computer skills. Thank you. But enough of that. That's not how it originally started out. It was somewhere back in the 1980s. I wanted to make a present for my sister. And I saw a magazine ad that looked probably something like this. But I kind of remember them being more like trinket boxes, like little jewelry boxes. And that blue one in particular rings a bell. And I looked at that and I thought, oh, I can do that. So I went to the refrigerator and I got a chicken eggshell. And back then, we didn't even have so much as a household drill, but for some reason I did have a tiny little drill bit. So I twirled holes into the side of the egg until I could poke a little hole out. And I built a little diorama inside. I used a mirror for a frozen lake and I think carved chalk to make a little mountain scene inside the egg. And I painted the sky and it reflected into the lake. And that was my first foray into eggshells. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of that first piece, but I can go into the early eggs, so I do have a picture. Please forgive the photography. It's from 1985. That is a shot of the second chicken egg I ever did, and it was done the same way. Just a hand twirled bunch of holes and poked out the side. And those wheels are dreadful. But there were no supplies then. Supplies were an issue. I basically kept it to extreme Easter egging. So I would dye them, paint them, gold leaf them, decoupage them. Basically, if there was anything that could stick to the outside of a chicken egg with glue, it got stuck to them. I would use anything at hand, mostly found items, scraps. Wire would always be good, thread, strings. This is my sister's snake's shed skin, which is probably barbaric, but now I'm thoroughly convinced that she only asked me to do that because she knew I would have to say that live one day. So I have that, and she's not going to get it back now as punishment. I would use a lot of string. It was plentiful, versatile, inexpensive. And the DNC floss in particular was always very colorful. This one was macrame on, but I didn't do a lot of that. Wrapping them was the most simple way. And you could get some really colorful results really easily. Now, this is the DNC floss, and you never had to waste a scrap. I mean, those little purple sections are probably 1/16 of an inch thick. And then you shellac them and get some good effect. But all this time, I was still lacking tools. Like, even broken pieces got turned into something. It's, don't let things go to waste. So that was my drunk driving eggheads for whatever reason. And thank goodness, along comes the Dremel into my practice. And now I can do some simple basic cuts. And that opens up the inside of the egg again. So now I get to work in 4 dimensions with a little bit of skill. Excuse me. I didn't really know that there were more efficient Dremel tools, so I was still using some pretty clunky gear at that time. And at some point, look, the internet comes along. There are other people who do this. I'm not alone. So now the world opens up with supplies, and there's those hinge rings that I wanted all those years ago. And along with supplies, I now have a community that can teach me things about rhea eggs and emu eggs and ostrich eggs. And these are the 3 big guys. And if you've never heard of a rhea egg, neither have I. Excuse me. So I did my happy dance. Look, I had to throw in the happy dance. I'm sorry, guys.
Love it.
So, yeah, this is a rhea egg, and that was the first thing I really started playing heavily with. This is a beaded rhea egg with 3 beaded chicken eggshells inside, if that gives you a bit of a size context. So this might help. The brown one is a chicken egg, and that dark one on the right is an emu egg. And that's not my usual medium, but I'm going to pause here if nobody minds. If anybody at all is interested in getting into egging, that is a really good place to start. That's the natural color. These are not my eggs. That's not my work, but that's the natural coloring of the eggshell. And as you engrave into it, it gets lighter and lighter until you reach that white coloring, which is paper thin. So honestly, I have full respect for the medium. And I just wanted to, at least, because egging is kind of interesting, and that's a good place to start. This is what I ended up doing with the emu eggs, though, turning it into a clipper ship. So I used goose eggs, I believe, for the sails. And then I started getting crazy into the detail with wood plank floors and working hatchways. And the bottom, you can actually look through the porthole and see a bottom inside. Oh yes, so if you're going to do a clipper ship, you need a hot air balloon. So that was my first ostrich egg for real. And when you get the ostrich egg, you want to cut them open. There were still supply problems. Hinge rings did exist for ostrich eggs, but they were more expensive than I could afford. So I kind of gave up on the ostrich eggs for a little while. And it was okay though, because with the internet, I learned that the American Egg Board works in conjunction with the United States White House and has, since I believe for 40 years now, they've been doing the White House Easter egg roll. And at that time, one artist from each state submits a chicken egg that becomes part of the White House permanent collection. And at that time, since I think 1977 on, they also do the First Lady's commemorative egg. And I think right now I want to be determined to be the one that makes the first gentleman's commemorative egg. So I did present back in 2003 for the state of New Jersey, and we got accepted. So that egg is now part of the permanent collection in the White House. And I was not as pleased with that work as I could be, so I'm going for round 2 for redemption. And that brings us up to current time. I took hiatus after that piece, and I did not get my dental drill until 2018, and that's where we are now. That's all I've got so far.
That's wonderful, Cherie. It really, really amazing pieces. We have a question already on Facebook, but I just have to ask. So the first gentleman's egg, do you already have a vision in your head of what that will be?
No, I really don't. I do keep thinking about it. I've been doing this series I call nesting eggs, where I've been putting one inside of another, and I've been playing around with that as a concept. So because chicken eggs are no longer my main theme, but that is part of the regulations for the commemorative egg, I was kind of going to circumnavigate that little rule by nesting it and doing it that way. But no, I haven't really come up with a design yet.
Okay, I like the egg humor.
Yeah, nesting, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So the one question that we've got so far on the stream here is, you had a picture of an egg that was like a baby carriage early on. I think it was one of the first eggs that you did, and the question was, what were the wheels on that made of?
I'm good.
Wow.
Because it's a question, I will try to show this again. But honestly, that is awful. I'm gonna pause it there. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so honestly, that wheel is probably floral wire that I tried to gold leaf, which means it's probably still just as soft and squishy as it was the first day it was made. And that's kind of what was disheartening, was where do you get supplies for egging when you never even heard of egging as a hobby? And dollhouse components would come into play and things like that. But that was before the internet. You weren't just hopping online back then. And AC Moore was, you probably have one every 50 miles. So you were kind of a little bit more on your own back then.
Yeah, yeah. But that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you. So I also have to just ask, I mean, we saw all of the different pieces. You've run the gamut, from a really fancy, quite intricate ship, and the baby carriage, and the little jewel boxes, and we actually haven't talked about this before, but where do you get your inspiration, and how do you, I mean, when you look at that egg for the first time before you carve it, does it somehow speak to you, or do you start with an idea and then go find the egg, or how do you do that?
No, you know what's funny, Abby? You know when you start talking about whether or not a piece is speaking to you, doesn't that get so artsy sounding? Ironically, it's based in reality. If I'm making a piece, if I have a piece in mind right now, I'm fortunate in that I have shells on hand so that I have a couple free at any time, ready to be designed. And if I have an idea in mind, yeah, you kind of ask it, you know, you kind of do. Would you like to be this? I'm changing this into something else entirely. And that's kind of more its decision than me. I might be the one that does it, but it's got to be the one that gets there. So if it doesn't want to, it won't, no matter how hard I try. So yeah, as much as my family probably doesn't want to hear me talking like that. Yeah, you do. The piece talks to you. And my first piece took 9 months to carve.
Wow.
They don't take that long anymore, thank goodness. But yeah, I could have birthed a child in that amount of time. I'm as intimate with that thing as anything else. And you do it. It talks to you. I listen to it, especially while working on it.
Right, right. And I would imagine, although this may be completely wrong, that there may be the surface of each egg may be slightly different, and that may, you know, even if you start with an idea of what that image is, as you begin to work with it, it may, does it shift as you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, you kind of get a feel for the health of the animal that it came from. I've had some unhealthy eggs, and you also get to know the old ones. And yeah, each one does have its own personality, personality. And the texture, some are very, very smooth, and some have the dimpling that's a lot deeper, but each one is different. And that's why I always hand draw the layouts rather than using a Mylar film, which I know a lot of people do, because then I get to know, okay, oh, there's a bump on that part I have to watch out for. It's not the same as a wood grain, but each one does have its own personality with calcium pockets and so forth. So it does factor in.
Very interesting. So Cherie, I know you said that the first one took you 9 months. And I know that really the virtual residency created in some ways an unexpected challenge to you on how you carve and the speed at which you carve. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So originally the residency that I thought I was applying for was going to be at Bethany for hopefully a few weeks at least. I was going for a month. And that didn't, and then COVID hit. Welcome everybody. And that did change the residency to a 1-week stay-at-home residency. And now, yeah, this art form changes completely, because what I do is drill all day long, and that's completely not engaging. So now I have you guys to invite in and share my work with. And how do I do that and keep it interesting? Oh, Abby, if I knew what I was getting myself in for. It became a comedy of errors of trying to document the creation of the piece. So, okay, I'm going to, if I may, drive for a moment here.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Okay, so for the residency, the idea was to turn this piece into this piece within the week. Now, my previous record. So this piece is actually a slimmed down version of this one, which I completed just prior to our residency. So that gave me a little bit of grounding. I knew where I wanted to go with this piece. And but a week was very ambitious. I had never completed anything that quickly. Never mind trying to document it in that fiasco. But my previous record was, I had just completed weeks before, and that took 80 hours of dedicated drill time. That little speed window down the bottom is the equivalent of 11 days worth of drilling. Now, this pattern is quite a bit more elaborate than the one that we were working on for the residency, but we did manage to get it completed. We got it done in 5 days. Thank you very much. And if anybody wants to see what that looked like to me, that window in the corner is 5 days in 30 seconds. And the idea here is basically to take that raw footage and to be able to do maybe a 1 hour long training technique video so that I can speed it up when I need to, slow it down, focus on some of the key points of engraving, and be able to share it that way. It's become a virtual world, and this is not a virtual medium. So in order to kind of get out to the world a little bit more and share my passion with you folks, I started learning all kinds of computer programs and crazy things I never thought I would get involved in. And I respect that too now. And that was the biggest learning curve of this entire experience. That was, but look, we're doing all this fun stuff, right? Right? We can do this. I learned that because of you guys. So you created a little bit of a monster. But yeah, we completed the egg, and that was where we left off with that.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. It's really, it is amazing to see, and you know, we are thankful that you pushed through and you know, spent this time with us and went through that exercise. Do you mind if I ask you to share a little bit about what happened when you started the residency, the first year? Oh, or maybe go ahead.
So yeah, all right. It reverts back to that piece that, do I have free reign here again?
Yes, you should.
I have one more I can, okay. So yeah, my initial contact with Bethany Arts Community was when I shared a failure of mine. And I know that's an unusual place to start a residency. Hi, nice to meet everybody. I'm an utter failure. But I think what I was trying to do, and what I'm still hoping to do, is to make sure that people understand that the end result is beautiful. It's gorgeous, but getting there is hard work. And this is the piece. It was in design for 2 years before I finally got to drilling it. Drilling it took, like I said, about 11 days or 80 hours. And on its photo shoot, its debut photo shoot, there it goes, right to the floor. I don't think that bug was my fault, but if it was, I'm awfully sorry. But one piece just kind of refused to break. So I kept that one, and that has now found a new home. And the rest of the pieces I have slowly started to put together like a crazy 3D jigsaw puzzle just to see if I can. And that piece, that little fragment, was my first posting. And I think it's one of the most beautiful pieces that I have. Not because it survived, but it helps me respect my medium. 2 years in the works, I finally bring you into this world and I let you fall to the floor. There's a lot of lessons in that part right there. And I like the lessons. I like knowing that what I'm working on is fragile. To me, it's metaphorical.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That was really, it was interesting to me when you posted that. I remember everybody's reaction. And I think
Oh,
people loved that.
everybody was amazing. I heard some of the absolute best compliments on that one little broken piece. And it was actually the community there, their reaction to it was just phenomenal. And that was a large part of what made it special and made me care about putting it back together. I mean, because like, in a way, I would like to show it all fixed with that one piece missing, because to me, that's the part that shows how perfect that piece is, even broken.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. So the other thing, Cherie, that we talked about a lot of things over the last little bit of time, which has been wonderful. But one of the other things you shared a little bit with us is kind of what it's like to work with an ostrich eggs, and you know, kind of what that feels like, and the strength of that egg and where you found it. So, you know, I mean, and most of us don't you know, think about going down to the store and getting an ostrich egg, and, you know, we don't usually cook it for dinner or any of those things. So can you just tell us a little bit about how you came across deciding to carve those and what that's like? And
yeah, as far as their makeup goes, it's almost, I don't know if you can hear that, it's almost like ceramic. It's very much like ceramic. But the texture is like, after you get past that surface, it's almost like a hardened chalk. So it's very smooth to work in. It's probably about a 1/16 of an inch thick. I'm going to stand up for a second, if you'll excuse me. So I know I get very elaborate on the eggs, but I'm also enjoying the simplicity that we can do. So with just one cut, you can create a piece that's a lot of fun. You can do a lot of different things with. And I have this guy's counterpart, the black piece with the white inside. And what I like about it is you get an idea of the depth.
yeah,
And I know that doesn't look like much there, but when I'm engraving that, first of all, I'm wearing my optivisor, and that's like the depth of a city skyline in there. Working with the depth of the egg is where I find the most challenge. I want to try to make one that looks like fabric. I want to try to change the feel of it, so that, first of all, holding them, every time you show somebody, they want to hold them, or they don't, but once they hold them, it's really cool. And you can see a change come over them. And there's an instant respect that comes with it, because they're so strong. But once that tension gives, the whole piece is changed. So it's its own puzzle. I don't know where I'm going with that anymore, Abby.
yeah. So okay, I have to ask, if you're going to try to change it to fabric, is that a tact? What do you mean that in a tactile
Okay,
sense, or look?
what I've been looking at a lot lately, picture Grecian urns. Okay, with the flowing robes and togas, where it's carved in stone, but it does have that fabric feel. So I want to try to do almost, you know, Grecian engravings and bas relief, to try to make it look more like fabric, or something that is not as solid as it is.
Right. Right. Wow. You keep pushing the envelope there. Which
Well,
is
I want to see how much of the eggshell I can remove with it still maintaining its integrity. I want to try to get 50% of that shell gone, and see if it still looks like what it should be.
right.
So that's a bit of a test that I'm playing with, is how much can be removed, and without it completely losing its strength.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. So we have one other question here from FaceTime of somebody who is asking, does drilling all day long get boring? Pun intended there.
Boring. Oh, that's good. I didn't even pick up on that. I'm so ashamed of myself.
No,
That was quick. Does it get boring? To me, no. No, to me, what's wonderful about drilling is that's the one place where I have to leave everything at the doorstep. So when I put my visor on, my vision is narrowed down to probably 1 or 2 square inches. And there's no room there for problems, concerns, troubles of the world. So that's the one place where it's timeless. I could stay there forever and be perfectly fine. That's where I'm at my healthiest.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Well, Cherie, I just have to thank you
No. Oh,
so
no.
much. It's been wonderful getting to know you and seeing all your work. I'm going to just say to folks on Facebook, if you have any last minute questions, you can feel free to go ahead and post them. And I'm trying to watch here. And I guess, Cherie, do you have any other kind of words about what you're doing you'd like to share with people?
No, I just want anybody out there to play with something, pick up something and fiddle with it, discover something new about it. The egg was in my refrigerator and this is where it landed me years later. So you're stuck at home, maybe. That's not boring. You're surrounded by amazing things. Don't forget to see them for what they are. And maybe something more.
That's lovely. Lovely.
And I'm looking forward. You have, I think, on the 10th, a talk with Anantha, which promises to be amazing. And then you also have on the 13th, Chicos. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that talk.
Wonderful. I think, Cherie, you're hired. You're doing the job here for me. I love that. I like that. Thank you so much.
No, really. I mean, the community, like the people that you did such a good job getting an amazing collection of people. And if you guys have not seen any of these talks, I believe, are they archived?
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Take some time, treat yourself, go see some of these works and some of these people. It's amazing. I'm sorry, Abby, I took over again.
No, anytime. So Cherie, thank you. And as Cherie said, the next talk is December 10th at 12:30. And we'll have an artist in residence, a work in progress screening and talk by cinematographer Anantha Krishnan, who's going to share a clip from his Shadows of Gandhi, How Democracies Die, and talk a little bit about his process and what he's doing. If people haven't seen the earlier talks, you can see those on our Facebook page. And all of the upcoming talks are also available on our website and also on Facebook. So we encourage people to take a look. And with that, Cherie, thank you so much. It's a pleasure as always.
Ladies and everybody here, thank you so much. Please stay well.